Urologists, never use baking soda alone. Mix this powder for massive blood flow. Gentlemen, I need to address something of considerable importance directly with you. If you've been experimenting with baking soda on its own, hoping to achieve improvements in your circulation, your blood flow, or perhaps even your intimate performance, I urge you to cease this practice immediately. It's entirely possible that relying solely on baking soda is the very reason you haven't witnessed the significant results you were anticipating. The information I'm about to share could very well be the pivotal factor distinguishing disappointment from a profound transformation in your vitality and confidence. My name is Dr. Laia Romano, and as a board-certified urologist with over a decade of experience dedicated to helping men, particularly those over 50, reclaim their youthful vigor and self-assurance, I've encountered this dilemma countless times. Today, I'm going to reveal a single, often overlooked powder, one that most men simply don't consider combining with baking soda, and which is likely already present in your kitchen. When these two unassuming ingredients are introduced to water, they initiate a potent chemical reaction that is foundational to achieving substantial enhancements in blood flow, stamina, and intimate function. By the time you finish watching this, you will possess the complete formula, understand the precise timing window, and grasp the 4 distinct mechanisms that render this combination exceptionally effective. Therefore, I implore you to stay with me until the very end of this presentation. I understand the immense frustration that arises when your desire and mental readiness are present, yet your physical body simply doesn't respond with the vigor it once did. Perhaps you experience strong initiations of an erection, only for it to falter midway. It might be that morning firmness, a natural indicator of vascular health, has vanished altogether, or perhaps intimacy has become a source of unpredictable inconsistency, something that triggers worry rather than anticipation. This pervasive uncertainty, this erosion of confidence, extends its reach into every facet of your life, impacting your relationships, your self-perception, and your very sense of masculinity. In my 10 years as a practicing urologist, I have sat with thousands of men who articulate this very struggle with striking similarity, and I want to be unequivocally clear about something. This is not solely an inevitable consequence of aging. What you are experiencing is, at its core, a shift in your body's intricate chemistry. However, the remarkable truth is that when you understand this chemistry and learn how to effectively support it, a complete reversal is not only possible, but probable. Let's delve into what is genuinely occurring within your body, particularly after the age of 50. Your bloodstream gradually becomes more acidic. While not to a dangerously critical level, this subtle increase in acidity is sufficient to disrupt a crucial physiological process, the production of nitric oxide. Nitric oxide is the vital molecule responsible for signaling your blood vessels to relax and expand, thereby facilitating a powerful surge of blood precisely where it is needed. As acidity rises, nitric oxide production diminishes. Consequently, your blood vessels fail to relax to their full potential, leading to a slowdown in circulation, and the robust response you once relied upon simply ceases to be. Concurrently, oxidative stress intensifies throughout your vascular system. Imagine oxidative stress as a form of internal rust, slowly degrading the lining of your blood vessels and accelerating the breakdown of nitric oxide faster than your body can replenish it. Furthermore, your red blood cells begin to lose their flexibility, becoming stiffer and less capable of navigating the narrowest capillaries to deliver essential oxygen to your tissues. Compounding this, the smooth muscle cells that govern the dilation of your blood vessels start to experience a depletion of their energy currency, ATP, the fundamental fuel required to maintain vessel openness. Thus, when the moment arrives and you desire your body to respond, it is fundamentally battling against a cascade of chemical processes that are actively working against you. The immensely positive news, the aspect that holds the power to entirely transform your situation, is that this internal chemistry can be actively supported. Blood flow can be restored, and this restoration begins with a clear understanding of why baking soda, when used in isolation, falls short of its potential. Now, it's understandable why many men have turned to baking soda in pursuit of improved circulation and enhanced performance. They are not misguided in their initial research. Baking soda, scientifically known as sodium bicarbonate, is a potent buffering agent. Upon ingestion, it actively works to reduce acidity in your bloodstream, fostering a more alkaline internal environment. Within this environment, the endothelial cells, which form the inner lining of your blood vessels, are better equipped to produce nitric oxide with greater efficiency. Scientific studies have indeed demonstrated that sodium bicarbonate can contribute to improved physical performance, reduce feelings of fatigue during exertion, and support overall vascular function. Therefore, it undoubtedly offers a degree of benefit. However, the fundamental issue lies in the fact that it addresses only one component of a far more complex physiological puzzle. Consider the multifaceted challenges that men, particularly as they age, genuinely face concerning circulation and sexual performance. There are 4 primary obstacles. Firstly, the aforementioned increase in acidity, which suppresses nitric oxide production. Baking soda successfully addresses this single issue. Check. Secondly, the pervasive presence of oxidative stress, which actively destroys nitric oxide before it has a chance to exert its beneficial effects. Baking soda offers no defense against this. Thirdly, the gradual stiffening of red blood cells, impairing their ability to efficiently deliver oxygen throughout the body. Baking soda cannot rectify this situation either. And fourthly, the smooth muscle within your blood vessels begins to run low on ATP, the essential energy required to sustain vascular dilation. Again, baking soda provides no assistance in this critical area. This explains why so many men report to me, "Dr. Romano, I tried baking soda, but I felt nothing. Nothing changed." It's not that baking soda is entirely ineffective. Rather, it is simply incomplete. It may open the door a mere crack, but it lacks the power to push it wide open. You require something more, something that operates in perfect synergy with baking soda to unlock the full potential of your vascular system. And this is precisely where the second crucial powder enters the equation, a powder that almost no man ever considers. However, when it is combined with baking soda in the correct ratio, at the opportune moment, something truly remarkable occurs. A profound chemical transformation takes place, resulting in the creation of a compound to which your aging blood vessels respond as if awakening from a deep slumber. Allow me to elucidate exactly what I am referring to. The first powder, as you are likely already aware, is baking soda or sodium bicarbonate. It serves as the foundational element. Upon consumption, it immediately commences the process of buffering the excess acidity that has been hindering your nitric oxide production. Visualize this acidity as a thick, obscuring fog that has settled over your blood vessels, preventing them from functioning optimally and responding as they should. Baking soda effectively dispels this fog, creating the ideal environment for your endothelial cells to resume their production of nitric oxide. This becomes particularly vital during periods of physical exertion or intimate activity, times when your muscles generate even more acidity, such as lactic acid, hydrogen ions, and other metabolic byproducts. All of these contribute to a further drop in your pH, making it exponentially more challenging for your blood vessels to dilate. Baking soda intervenes, neutralizing this accumulating acid, thus giving your body a fighting chance to maintain adequate blood flow from the outset to the conclusion of such activities. However, this is the point where the majority of men cease their efforts. They take baking soda, they wait, and when they don't experience a dramatic and noticeable difference, they wrongly conclude that it simply doesn't work. What they fail to recognize is that they are missing the absolutely critical second half of the equation, the powder that elevates baking soda from merely helpful to profoundly powerful. That second powder is citric acid. Yes, the same tart, slightly sour powder that you have encountered in various culinary and baking applications. It is the powder used for food preservation and to impart a delightful tang to numerous recipes. Most men walk right past it in the grocery aisle, never once suspecting that it could hold the key to restoring their circulation and, consequently, their confidence. Now, here is where the science becomes truly fascinating. When you combine baking soda and citric acid together in water, they do not merely coexist, they react. You will observe this immediately as the mixture begins to bubble and fizz, releasing carbon dioxide. But this effervescence is far more than just a visually appealing chemical demonstration. It represents a fundamental chemical transformation. These two simple powders unite to create something entirely novel, sodium citrate. And it is within sodium citrate that the genuine magic begins to unfold. Sodium citrate possesses capabilities within your body that baking soda alone cannot replicate. Firstly, sodium citrate acts as a formidable protector of nitric oxide against the damaging effects of oxidative stress. Recall that oxidative stress is akin to rust forming within your blood vessels, degrading nitric oxide before it can effectively signal your vessels to open. Sodium citrate functions as a protective shield for your endothelial cells, mitigating this oxidative damage and enabling nitric oxide to persist for longer durations and operate with enhanced efficacy. This is a game-changing attribute. Baking soda facilitates the production of nitric oxide, but it is sodium citrate that safeguards it, ensuring it can fulfill its intended purpose. Secondly, sodium citrate significantly enhances the flexibility of your red blood cells. Your blood is not merely a liquid flowing through conduits. It is a vibrant suspension of red blood cells, each tasked with transporting oxygen from your lungs to every tissue in your body. As you age, however, these cells tend to stiffen, losing their inherent elasticity. They encounter difficulty in navigating the extremely narrow capillaries, those minuscule vessels where efficient oxygen delivery is most critical. Sodium citrate alters the very flexibility of these red blood cell membranes, rendering them softer, more pliable, and capable of gliding effortlessly through even the most constricted passages. This improved oxygen delivery translates directly into enhanced stamina, heightened sensation, and the welcome absence of that frustrating mid-activity decline. Thirdly, sodium citrate directly integrates into your body's citric acid cycle, also widely recognized as the Krebs cycle. This cycle represents the fundamental engine within every cell responsible for generating ATP, the universal energy currency that powers all of your bodily functions. And here lies the profound significance of this process. The smooth muscle tissue that constitutes the walls of your blood vessels requires a consistent supply of ATP to effectively dilate and, crucially, to remain dilated. A deficiency in ATP leads to the failure of dilation, the collapse of blood vessels, and the subsequent fading of firmness. However, when sodium citrate fuels the Krebs cycle, ATP production experiences a substantial surge. Your blood vessels are finally endowed with the necessary energy to open fully and maintain that open state with robust stability for as long as it is required. Fourthly, not all of the baking soda present in the mixture undergoes reaction with the citric acid. A portion of the bicarbonate remains available, continuing its vital role in buffering acidity throughout your system. Thus, you benefit from the transformative properties of sodium citrate in conjunction with the ongoing pH support provided by the residual bicarbonate. It is a dual action benefit operating in perfect synchrony. This synergistic interplay is precisely why the combination proves exponentially more potent than relying on baking soda alone. Baking soda meticulously prepares the internal environment, citric acid then orchestrates the critical transformation. Together, they activate 4 distinct mechanisms, each working in flawless coordination to restore robust blood flow, enduring stamina, and optimal performance. Men who have experienced this regimen often describe a sensation of warmth spreading through their chest, their hands, and their pelvic region, a palpable feeling of circulation reawakening, of their bodies responding naturally, not through artificial means, but simply as they once did. However, possessing knowledge of the ingredients is merely one half of the success equation. The other, equally vital half, the component that dictates whether you experience a subtle improvement or a powerful surge, lies in a deep understanding of precisely how these mechanisms operate within your body. Let me meticulously break this down for you. Allow me to guide you through the precise physiological events that occur as these 4 mechanisms become activated. Understanding this process will not only foster trust in its efficacy, but will also equip you with clear expectations of what to anticipate. Our first mechanism, nitric oxide stability. Nitric oxide stands as the master regulator of blood flow. It is synthesized by the endothelial cells lining your arteries and veins. Upon its release, it initiates a signal that prompts the smooth muscle within your vessel walls to relax. This relaxation is the indispensable prerequisite for blood to circulate freely and powerfully, effectively nourishing the tissues that depend on it. However, a significant impediment exists. Oxidative stress, that internal rust I previously alluded to, degrades nitric oxide at nearly the same rate as your body produces it. This is analogous to attempting to fill a bucket with a hole in its bottom. You are producing, but you are losing the contents before they can serve their purpose. Sodium citrate fundamentally alters this dynamic. It significantly reduces oxidative stress throughout your vascular system, effectively acting as a protective coating for your endothelial cells. A reduction in oxidative stress means that nitric oxide can persist for extended periods. And when nitric oxide has the opportunity to endure, it can finally perform its intended function, relaxing your blood vessels, opening the pathways, and allowing blood to surge through with consistent strength. This represents the foundational element. Without stability of nitric oxide, the impact of subsequent mechanisms is significantly diminished. Our second mechanism, red blood cell flexibility. Your blood is not merely a homogeneous fluid traversing tubes. It is a dynamic medium densely populated with red blood cells, each one a vital carrier of oxygen from your lungs to every single tissue in your body. The capillaries, the most minute blood vessels where the critical exchange of oxygen occurs, are extraordinarily narrow. Some are so constricted that red blood cells are compelled to deform and squeeze their way through. In youth, your red blood cells possess a natural flexibility and elasticity, allowing them to glide through these narrow passages with ease. However, with age, the membranes of these cells begin to stiffen, diminishing their pliability. When red blood cells lose their ability to bend, they become obstructed. This blockage prevents oxygen from reaching the tissues that desperately require it. This physiological reality is a primary contributor to the fatigue many men over 50 experience during intimate encounters. Even when desire is strong, their muscles and erectile tissues are essentially starved of oxygen. Sodium citrate directly intervenes to enhance the flexibility of red blood cell membranes. It renders them softer, more pliable, and capable of navigating even the most constricted vessels without becoming ensnared. Suddenly, oxygen delivery experiences a substantial increase. Your tissues are finally receiving the essential fuel they have been critically lacking. This leads to improved stamina, sharpened sensation, and the welcome elimination of that disheartening mid-performance decline. Our third mechanism, ATP production via the Krebs cycle. Every muscle within your body necessitates energy to contract and relax. This energy is derived from ATP, or adenosine triphosphate, the molecule that powers every single cellular process. The smooth muscle tissue that forms the walls of your blood vessels is no exception. To dilate, to open wide and permit blood flow, these muscles require ATP. And to maintain that dilation, to keep the vessels open in a stable and robust state, they demand a continuous supply of ATP. The challenge arises because ATP production demonstrably declines with age. Your mitochondria, the microscopic powerhouses within each cell, become progressively less efficient, yielding less energy. When ATP levels are insufficient, smooth muscle tissue is unable to sustain dilation, leading to blood vessel collapse and a fading of firmness. This is the underlying reason why so many men confide, "I can achieve an erection, but I cannot maintain it." The requisite energy simply is not present. Sodium citrate acts as a direct facilitator, feeding into the citric acid cycle, or Krebs cycle, the central metabolic pathway responsible for ATP synthesis. It is akin to injecting high-grade fuel directly into your cellular engine. ATP production escalates, and your smooth muscle is finally equipped with the energy needed to dilate to its full capacity and maintain that dilation with unwavering strength and stability for the duration required. This is the fundamental difference between initiating strongly and then fading versus initiating strongly and concluding with even greater intensity. Our fourth mechanism, sustained pH buffering. When baking soda and citric acid undergo their reaction, a small quantity of sodium bicarbonate remains unreacted within the mixture. This residual bicarbonate continues to function as a pH buffer throughout your system. This is of considerable importance because during physical activity or intimate engagement, your muscles are actively producing acid. Lactic acid accumulates and hydrogen ions build up. This acidic environment is precisely what contributes to that burning sensation in your muscles and the fatigue that prompts a desire to cease activity. The residual bicarbonate diligently buffers this acid as it forms, neutralizing it before it can compromise your performance. This effectively delays the onset of fatigue, extends your stamina, and maintains an optimized vascular environment conducive to nitric oxide production. Even as your body exerts itself, you are benefiting from the transformative effects of sodium citrate and the ongoing protective action of the bicarbonate. It is a two-tiered system of support working in concert. This intricate interplay is the reason behind the remarkable potency of this combination. It is not merely one factor contributing a small benefit. It is four distinct mechanisms operating in perfect harmony, each addressing a unique aspect of age-related circulatory decline. Baking soda alone provides pH support. However, the combination of baking soda and citric acid delivers pH support, nitric oxide protection, enhanced oxygen delivery, and cellular energy replenishment. This is the profound difference between simply hoping for improvement and actively experiencing tangible transformation. However, even with all four of these vital mechanisms engaged, there remains one critical determinant that separates success from disappointment: timing. Your body requires a specific period to absorb these compounds, to facilitate the necessary chemical shifts, and to activate these physiological pathways. Administering the mixture at an inappropriate time can lead to the frustrating conclusion that nothing has occurred. Conversely, consuming it at the optimal moment can yield results that feel almost instantaneous. Let me meticulously illustrate the precise timing and methodology for maximizing its effectiveness. What distinguishes men who achieve powerful results from those who lament, "I tried it and felt nothing," is not the ingredients themselves, nor the dosage, but the timing of their consumption. Your body does not instantaneously flip a switch the moment you ingest this mixture. It undergoes a precise sequence of physiological changes. By understanding this sequence, you can meticulously align your intake for those moments when you require peak performance the most. Allow me to walk you through the chronological progression of events following your consumption of the mixture. In the initial 15 minutes, the mixture enters your stomach and commences its absorption into your bloodstream. The bicarbonate immediately begins its work, buffering existing acidity and initiating a shift in your pH from an acidic state towards a more alkaline one. Your endothelial cells, those delicate inner linings of your blood vessels, start to perceive this chemical change. They begin to prepare for more efficient nitric oxide production. While you may not feel anything overtly dramatic at this stage, the essential groundwork is being meticulously laid. The fundamental chemistry of your system is undergoing a subtle yet significant shift. Between the 15 and 30-minute mark, the process of nitric oxide production begins to noticeably increase. Your blood vessels start to receive the crucial signals to relax and open. At this juncture, some men report experiencing a subtle sensation of warmth, perhaps in their hands, their chest, or a general feeling that circulation is gently awakening, akin to the slow, steady rise of the sun within the body. The effect is not yet at its peak intensity, but it is undeniably commencing. From 30 to 45 minutes, sodium citrate achieves its peak absorption levels. This is the period when all four key mechanisms become fully operational. Oxidative stress begins to recede. Nitric oxide production is actively being protected. Your red blood cells are actively regaining their flexibility. ATP production within the smooth muscle of your blood vessels is steadily ramping up. Your vascular system is transitioning from a state of struggle and restriction to one of readiness and responsiveness. Between 45 and 60 minutes, you enter what I term the readiness window. This is the optimal period, the sweet spot where all four mechanisms converge and operate in perfect synergy at their apex. Your blood vessels are optimally primed. Oxygen delivery is enhanced to its highest capacity. Cellular energy is surging. Nitric oxide levels are stable and abundant. At this juncture, your body is primed for a rapid, powerful, and entirely natural response. Arousal occurs with greater speed. Achieving and maintaining firmness becomes considerably easier. The maintenance of an erection feels effortless rather than uncertain. From 60 to 90 minutes, the effects of the mixture reach their absolute zenith. Blood flow is robust and sustained. Stamina holds firm, free from the pervasive fear of fading. Sensation becomes notably sharper. Every aspect of your physical response feels natural, confident, and reminiscent of how it was before the interference of age and altered chemistry. Men often attest that during this phase, intimacy ceases to feel like an effort and instead recaptures its essence of vibrant life. Now let me highlight the critical, recurring mistake that I observe men making time and again. They consume this mixture a mere 5 to 10 minutes before engaging in intimacy, only to then express bewilderment as to why no discernible effect has occurred. Your body, gentlemen, requires time. It necessitates a minimum of 45 to 60 minutes to initiate the chemical shifts, activate these physiological pathways, and prepare your vascular system for optimal performance. Taking it immediately beforehand is akin to planting a seed and expecting a fully grown tree to emerge instantaneously. It simply does not operate that way. One of my patients learned this lesson through direct experience. He attempted to use the mixture one evening, ingesting it just before he and his wife retired for the night. The result? Nothing. He experienced profound disappointment and nearly abandoned the endeavor altogether. However, a week later, he decided to try again, this time deliberately taking the mixture 45 minutes prior to anticipating intimacy. The following day, he contacted me with palpable enthusiasm, stating, "Dr. Romano, it was a completely different experience. I felt the warmth. I felt ready. Everything simply worked. The same ingredients, the same dosage, but a different timing." That singular adjustment in timing made all the difference in the world. Therefore, this is what I implore you to remember. Plan ahead. Grant your body the necessary time to respond. Consume the mixture 45 to 60 minutes prior to when you desire peak blood flow and circulation. Trust the process. Allow the intricate chemistry to unfold naturally. And when that readiness window opens, you will undoubtedly experience precisely what I have been describing. Now, allow me to provide you with the exact formula, the precise measurements, and the step-by-step preparation instructions so that you can execute this correctly from your very first attempt. All right, let us delve into the specifics, as precision is paramount in achieving optimal results. The ratio that has proven most effective is a 2.1 ratio. This means 2 parts of baking soda to 1 part of citric acid, not equal parts, and certainly not based on guesswork. This specific ratio is crucial for facilitating the optimal formation of sodium citrate, while simultaneously ensuring that sufficient bicarbonate remains available to continue buffering your pH. It represents the perfect equilibrium. As a starting dosage, I recommend utilizing 3 grams of baking soda and 0.5 gram to 1 gram of citric acid. If you do not have access to a precise scale, this translates to approximately 0.5 teaspoon of baking soda and about 1/8 teaspoon of citric acid. If you have never previously consumed baking soda, or if you possess any known sensitivity to sodium, it is prudent to begin with the lower end of the citric acid dosage. Here is the simple, step-by-step method for preparing the mixture. Pour approximately 8 to 12 ounces of water into a glass. Water at room temperature or slightly warm temperature tends to yield the best results. Begin by adding the baking soda to the water, followed by the citric acid. The instant these 2 components come into contact with the water, you will observe the characteristic bubbling and fizzing, that rapid reaction generating carbon dioxide and, crucially, forming sodium citrate right before your eyes. Allow this effervescent reaction to proceed for approximately 30 to 45 seconds. It is not necessary to wait until every single bubble has dissipated, but grant it a sufficient moment to fully react. Subsequently, stir gently until the mixture has settled sufficiently to be comfortably consumed. Regarding the optimal timing for consumption, it is recommended to take this mixture on an empty stomach, or at the very least, 2 hours subsequent to your last meal. The presence of food in your stomach can impede absorption rates and interfere with the speed at which these compounds enter your bloodstream. And, as a vital reminder, ensure you consume it 45 to 60 minutes prior to the anticipated need for enhanced circulation. Now, regarding the taste, the mixture possesses a slightly salty profile due to the sodium content and a discernible tartness from the citric acid. Most men report that it is significantly more palatable than they initially expected. If you find the taste to be less than ideal, you can optionally add a small splash of lemon juice or mix it with a modest amount of fruit juice. However, this is entirely a matter of personal preference. For those undertaking this protocol for the initial time, I strongly advise starting with half of the recommended dose. This allows you to assess your body's individual response. While the majority of men tolerate the full dose without issue, it is always a more prudent approach to commence conservatively and gradually increase the dosage over a period of a few days. Finally, let us address the matter of safety, as it is of paramount importance. Although both of these powders are natural substances commonly utilized in food preparation, it is essential to be aware of a few key considerations. Sodium content. 3 grams of baking soda contains approximately 1,000 to 2,100 milligrams of sodium. This represents roughly half of the recommended daily sodium intake for most adults. If you are currently adhering to a strict low-sodium diet, or if you have been diagnosed with uncontrolled high blood pressure, chronic kidney disease, heart failure, or significant fluid retention, it is imperative that you consult with your physician before incorporating this regimen into your routine. For the vast majority of healthy men, this quantity is well tolerated and poses no undue risk. However, informed awareness is always preferable to unexpected consequences. Digestive considerations. A small percentage of men may experience mild bloating or gas when first initiating the use of baking soda, particularly if it is consumed too soon after a meal. This reinforces the recommendation to take it on an empty stomach, allowing the mixture to fully fizz and release carbon dioxide in the glass prior to consumption also aids in mitigating this potential discomfort, as the gas is released externally rather than within your digestive tract. If you have a particularly sensitive digestive system, starting with a reduced dose and gradually increasing it over the course of a week is a wise strategy. Citric acid in the quantities used here is exceptionally safe. It is a ubiquitous ingredient in sodas, candies, supplements, and canned foods. The amount present in this mixture falls well within normal dietary intake levels and very rarely causes any adverse effects. In fact, it often renders the final mixture gentler on the stomach compared to consuming baking soda in isolation. For the overwhelming majority of healthy men over the age of 50, this combination presents as safe, straightforward, and remarkably cost-effective. Nevertheless, always remain attuned to your body's signals. If you experience any discomfort or an unfavorable reaction, reduce the dosage or discontinue use and seek the counsel of your healthcare provider. Prudence is a sign of wisdom, not weakness. Now, while most men initially perceive this combination as a mere pre-intimacy boost, and it undoubtedly serves this purpose effectively, what often surprises them, what they truly do not anticipate, is the profound impact of consistent, long-term use. The genuine transformation is not solely confined to the immediate moment. It extends to the long-term healing and restoration of your vascular system. Let me elaborate on what I mean by this. Here lies a facet that most men consistently overlook. They tend to view this mixture as a temporary enhancement, something to be taken only when needed and then set aside. However, when this regimen is followed consistently, perhaps 2 or 3 times per week, a far more profound process begins to unfold within your body. Your vascular system doesn't just react in the moment, it begins to heal, to regenerate, and to function with the efficiency it possessed years prior. The endothelial cells that line your blood vessels commence a process of recovery, enabling them to produce nitric oxide more effectively on their own initiative, not solely in response to the mixture. The cumulative oxidative stress that has been silently damaging these cells over many years begins to diminish. Consequently, over time, your blood vessels become more pliable, more responsive, and demonstrably healthier. Your body's oxygen delivery system improves, not just during specific times of need, but throughout the entire day. Men report experiencing increased energy levels in the morning, sharper cognitive function, warmer extremities, and an enhanced capacity to engage in physical activity for longer durations without succumbing to fatigue. Essentially, their bodies feel more vibrantly alive. Furthermore, the functionality of your mitochondria, the cellular energy producers, strengthens with sustained support from the citric acid cycle. Enhanced mitochondrial function translates directly into superior stamina, quicker recovery after physical exertion, and a more consistent energy supply throughout the day. Your body is not merely receiving a transient surge of energy, it is actively rebuilding the fundamental infrastructure of cellular power. Perhaps most significantly, your performance becomes noticeably more reliable. Morning erections, which may have been absent for extended periods, begin to reestablish themselves. Intimate encounters become more consistent and feel more natural. Men frequently express, Dr. Romano, it's not just the nights I take it, my overall well-being has improved. I feel like my true self again. This, gentlemen, is the essence of genuine transformation. It is not about masking symptoms or forcing temporary performance through artificial means, but about actively supporting your vascular system so that it can heal, strengthen, and operate according to its inherent design. And remarkably, this restorative process incurs minimal cost. 2 humble powders working in concert are capable of reversing much of what time has gradually diminished. Gentlemen, I now urge you to implement this protocol for a dedicated period of 30 days. Adhere strictly to the recommended timing and strive for consistency in your usage. The majority of men begin to notice tangible improvements within 2 to 4 weeks, while some experience positive effects even from their very first application. Grant your body the opportunity to respond, to heal, and to rediscover its innate strength. Should you have any questions whatsoever regarding this protocol, please do not hesitate to leave a comment below. I personally review every single comment and endeavor to provide as many answers as my schedule permits. I am Dr.